Good morning. Every day I sit and I read the words. I read the words of life. And then I consider everything around me. Everything that's the hustle and the bustle. I sit in my quiet place in the morning and I watch the sunrise. And I watch the increase of the busyness of the world begin. People going here and there in such a hurry. And I recall the words of life. And I consider how patiently the Messiah walked upon this earth, never in a hurry to go anywhere, never worried, never anxious, even though he knew that his end was drawing near. He calmly went about his business every day. We need to be like that. The Messiah said to consider the birds, how they do not sow, and yet Yahuwah feeds them every day. He gives them branches to rest in, shade from the sun. Friends, I'm brokenhearted, honestly, how divided people are. You have one group that claims to follow the Messiah. It's so far from it. They honor one another. They keep traditions over keeping the words. They don't even honor the one that they claim to follow. Then you have another crowd that doesn't follow the Messiah, but claims to follow the Torah. They don't do that either. They've added to it and taken away. It's just as wicked. Isaiah 8:20 says, if you don't follow and preach the Torah and the testimony, that there's no light in you. And that is both groups of people. One claims to follow the Messiah, in other words, the testimony of Yahushua, and yet they don't. They don't have any of the Torah, and they don't bother to even follow the words of the Messiah they claim to love. The other side doesn't speak at all to the testimony of Yahushua, but only claims to follow the Torah. And in fact, they've destroyed it. They destroyed the words of life. Both are equally as blind. So here's my challenge to you. Stop following the religions of this world. Stop it. Stop trying to be honored among men. Stop thinking that good works of men is benefiting you at all. The only good works that benefits anyone is doing the words of the Messiah, which are the words of his Father. They are the words of life. They're the ones that are supposed to be written upon your heart and your right hand, meaning that it's constantly at the front of your mind, and it's what you do, because what is in your heart is what comes out, and that's what truly defiles a man. So if the words of life are in your heart, then you will not be defiled. But if the words of life are not in your heart, you're already defiled. It doesn't matter what you do on the outside. It doesn't matter what religion you're in. You're unclean. You're defiled. That's why religion is worthless. Everyone has the words of life in their hand. Because if you're watching this, it means you have an electronic device that is capable of searching and displaying the words of life in any language you wish. Will you be a hearer and a doer of the words? Will you follow the perfect example of our high priest, of the prophet, and of the king, Yahushua HaMashiach? Even if you call him by a different name, if you're a doer of the words, he will lead you into truth. But no matter what name you call him, if you don't bother to do his words, you're already condemned. Because Moshe condemns you. The Torah has condemned the world. No one can escape that unless they become like the Messiah, both a hearer and a doer, having faith in Yahuwah to be delivered, the salvation of Yahuwah, as we are a doer and a hearer of the words of life. It's only by his mercy and his unmerited favor that we don't get the destruction that we deserve, but he cleanses us of our sin. But not those who continue in sin. And sin is breaking of the Torah. Will you take hold of the words of life? Will you just for a minute shut out every voice, every preacher and teacher? Will you just for a minute go into a quiet place and read the red letters of Yahushua and do them? Will you put them into practice in your everyday life? Will you actually give them a chance to change you? How many times does the Messiah say, keep the commandments? How many times does he say, keep my words? How many times does he say, guard everything that I said to you? And yet, man says to not keep them. Man has changed the words of the Messiah to mean something that they don't mean. The Messiah spoke clearly when he said, if you love me, keep my commandments. Those who keep my commandments are those who love me. My true disciples are those who continue in my words. That's what he said. Do you believe him? And if you believe him, then you must prove it by the way you live. I hope you have a wonderful day. Seek Yahuwah with all your heart, with all your strength, and with everything you got. Time is always ticking away. Shalom.